Damon, do you see the same thing? Somebody staring up at you and they're saying they're valueless, not valuable. What do you inject in them?
Yeah, so I kind of, we're in kind of almost in two different situations. I really believe this is just me. Okay, this is just me. There's a small percentage of active duty when they get out, they continue to serve in the military in some capacity. A DoD contractor, that's Department of Defense, right? Or but they're just involved. They could be GS, government services. They could there's other for-profit companies that contract and do certain things to help the government. There's even companies like Blackwater that's pretty famous, where they hire um, uh, those with extensive combat experience, whether conventional or special operators, and then they go off and they do certain missions that we used to do. Um, I am not interested in doing any of those things, and it's not in my heart whatsoever. There's a very few small percentage of people, and I applaud those individuals. I really do. For me, when I got out, I was done. It's like the war. We've got a lot of really talented individuals, young men and women who will carry the baton. They will. And so for me, my passion was the residue. My passion was something that I even dealt with, right? So it's like as soon as I go to war and I come back and I'm banged up, and I feel like many times like if I couldn't reconstitute, then I was no good. No, I was worthless to the institution, right? And so there's a lot of injuries that I held. I kept quiet because of that. And so at the very end, I was done. DUN. And so for me, the individuals that tell me is like they're out and they're like, oh, man, the uniform is what gave me my identity. I'm like, you're an idiot. It's not true at all. It's fabric, man. That's all it is. It's fabric. Well, do you remember the times when we had the stack and we're kicking down the doors, man, guns are blazing, and we're capture kill missions? I'm like, bro, that's a chapter in your life. It's like almost like me talking about high school when I was undefeated in the mile, going to the state championships. Like, do you remember that day I was racing Martin Field? Let me tell you something, bro. We've got chapters in our lives, and some chapters where they open and then they close. So when an individual looks at me and says, "Man, I'm worthless. I don't have any value anymore," I give them like a verbal slap. Boom! I'm like, boom. What's wrong with you, bro? Do you know that only 1% of Americans, only 1%, bro, only one, will join the military? They'll sign on the bottom line. They'll take the oath. They'll raise the right hand. I'm like, only 1%, only 1%. That in itself makes you so unique. All right. So you know what I tell people? You know what I tell my veterans? Yo, the military service set you up for success to literally launch you to what you're ultimately called to do. I mean, we're talking about being an unstoppable force for good. Because you tell me the only major issues going on in the world is extreme terrorism? No, man. We just went through it. Homelessness. Significant population of veterans are homeless. What about fentanyl? What about domestic abuse? What about when I was a kid? I was raised in downtown Los Angeles, low income housing. My mom worked for $4.25 an hour, whatever it may be, to put rice and peas on the table. There were times we didn't even know if we're going to have a meal. I lived in 14 different places in the first 12 years of my life. Showing up to day one school, I didn't have shoes. I didn't have new shoes. I didn't have clothes. I didn't have pens and paper. What about those kids? So I'm here to tell you. And I looked at him. I go, you find your passion, bro. What keeps you up at night? What can you do to change the world for good? And it starts with one life at a time. You want me to make you feel better? Let's go. We go to the inner city and we look at all those kids that have no dads and they're going to day one. Let's do this. Let's do a fundraiser. Let's get 20 backpacks with all the pencils and papers, right? And how cool would this be? Get a gift certificate to Foot Locker, maybe $100. You give it to that kid, they're gonna lose their mind, man. You help them change and they go, there is hope. And you know what? I can do school. I got the pencil, I got the paper, I got the pen, I got the 3-ring binder. Come on, stop feeling sorry for yourself. You have value. You're part of the 1% of Americans. God has fashioned you uniquely. You are a warrior of warriors. Go find your new mission and stop feeling sorry for yourself. That's what I say, and that's what we're doing. I mean, I'm not just a person that talks the talk. I got a team that walks the walk. This is what we do. Find your new mission, man. Stop feeling sorry for yourself and start becoming, what you're called to do, and that's be an unstoppable force for good. Don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. Those are my 2 cents. I don't know. I mean, other people may have a different opinion.